Cruise news time, and well, we've had a honeymoon cruise turn into a nightmare when the boat sank and the life jacket failed. Royal Caribbean, they're going to be cruising out of a couple cruise ports they haven't cruised out of in a long time. And Carnival, they're bringing back the old muster drill. Sorta. Some people are very unlucky. Cruise news and my views. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news and views for your face on a Thursday the 13th of March, 2020. I paused because it's not the Ides of March. 13 is an unlucky day, but the Ides of March, I was immediately transported back to Mr. Reed's sophomore English class when we were forced to read Julius Caesar. The Ides of March, that's when Julius got stabbed by a dude in a tutu. Yeah, that's the 15th. So you got a couple days. Get some food to the house. Don't leave the house. Beware of the Ides of March. That's what the soothsayer said. You gotta save that drama for your mama. That's what Bill's friends told him. Yeah, what are we talking about? Cruise news story number one. This couple here, Gaio and Fernanda, they're newlyweds. They're honeymooning in the Maldives, and they take a pleasure cruise with 56 other people and 3 crew members on a boat off the coast of the Maldives. 40 minutes into the cruise ship gets hit by a big wave, and that's not good. Causes the ship to tilt a little bit, but all seems okay until about 20 minutes later when the boat starts sinking. They took on water during the wave hit, and now the boat is sinking. The crew on board, they spring into action. They tell everybody to don their life jackets and to jump in the water. And well, the couple jumps in the water and their life jackets do not inflate. So that's very concerning. Now they've got a moment where they could go full on Jack and Rose, where one person decides to live and the other person slides into the abyss, only later for the one person who survived to bring a priceless necklace and throw it into the ocean. But that's not the story that played out here. The two were treading water with their broken life jackets, and they noticed an inflated life jacket in the distance. They swam over, and then they buddied up on the one life jacket. So they survived together. And I think that's a good lesson for anybody named Rose. But yeah, that's unsettling. That's certainly a cruise nightmare. They waited in the water, I think another 40 or 50 minutes. They were rescued. Everybody was rescued. All's well that ends well. But that could have been a bad story. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Well, it's that time of the month again. The time of the month where I warn you about bad people on the internet. You know who I'm talking about. Identity thieves, hackers looking to do bad things with your good and private internet data. That's why I'm excited for the sponsor of today's episode, Private Internet Access VPN. PIA VPN is an application that you put on your internet connected devices that encrypts your data as it goes out into the internet, keeping it hidden from prying eyes. I do like PIA VPN for several reasons. Number one is that for one low subscription price, covers all of your devices. Got all your major operating systems covered, iOS and Android and Windows and Mac OS, more Linux. They've got it all. They also have a rock solid 24/7 support. They don't keep any of your data. They have a no log policy. So not only are they protecting your data, but they're not keeping your data. And on top of all that, they've got a 20-day money-back guarantee. I also like it because it helps with geofencing. This is a use case I found recently. Right now, WWE, they're putting Monday Night Raw on Netflix in the US, but you can't see SmackDown in the US. But you can see SmackDown in other countries. So maybe you want to catch an episode of SmackDown, you just use your PIA VPN to connect to a server, say in the UK or a server in Mexico, and bingo bango, you've got all kinds of extra WWE content not available on Netflix in the US. You can try PIA for yourself at a discounted price. Use my link, www.piavpn.com/La Lido Loca to save 83% off of your PIA subscription. Comes out to about $2.03 a month, and you get 4 months for free. Thank you so much, PIA VPN, for protecting our most private data, and thank you for sponsoring today's episode. Cruise news story number 2, there is a Carnival cruise passenger that is none too happy with the policy over at Carnival when it comes to alcohol, particularly alcohol that you can bring on a cruise ship. If you're unfamiliar and you're cruising on Carnival Cruise Line, you are allowed as an adult, someone who's 21 years of age and older, to bring one 750 milliliter bottle of wine with you on your cruise. That's your God-given right that was written in the Declaration of Independence. Somewhere after We the People. I don't know. But anyways, there was a passenger that's taken offense at this policy because they astutely noticed that the policy is applicable if it's a short cruise or if it's a long cruise. So if you have a 3-day cruise, one 750 milliliter bottle of wine is acceptable to bring on board. If you have a 7-day cruise, 1 bottle per person. If you have a 14-day Journeys cruise, only 1 bottle per person. And well, to the complainer, that policy just doesn't seem fair. It seems like if you're going on a longer cruise, you could bring more than 1 bottle of wine. And what the poster, the complainer, is failing to recognize is Carnival don't give a dang about fairness. Carnival wants their money. And if you allow somebody to bring 18 bottles of wine on board, you're not gonna sell 18 bottles of wine. People, they're not always thinking out there. I don't think they're not always thinking. Carnival is a business. One of the biggest profit centers for cruise line is alcohol. And certainly they're going to have policies that restrict the amount of alcohol that you can bring on board. No shocker, Carnival responded to the complainer going, it's always been 1 bottle. It's like tradition. Tradition. It's like tradition. Of course you can only bring 1 bottle. Shut up. Yeah, what do you think? Is it fair? Or if it's a longer cruise, you should be able to bring multiple bottles of wine. Some cruise lines would suggest you shouldn't bring any wine at all and just buy their wine. So, red wine. Shout out Ludacris. Cruise news story number 3. Royal Caribbean has made an announcement that they will be cruising from a couple cruise ports they haven't cruised from in a long time. We're talking about the cruise ports of Cartagena in Colombia and Colón in Panama. Panama. Man, I am full of the songs today. Now, some of these places have been stops on cruises, but they haven't cruised out of there in a while. I think like 7 years or something for Panama. What's exciting is this opens up a new vector to cruising to the Southern Caribbean. You can take a flight down there, or for people in that region also, you can get on a cruise ship in both of those places and go and explore places like Curacao and Bonaire and Aruba, ABC. You can go to those places. I think that's cool. And I've been to Cartagena. I haven't been to Cologne, but beautiful places. So exciting stuff coming out of Royal Caribbean. Cruise news story number 4. There's a concerned husband out there, and this is really more of a Dear Abby type conversation than a cruise news story. Concerned husband out there that they're coming up on the sailing date for their next cruise. And the last time they went on a cruise together, his wife racked up a $3,000 gambling bill. If you are unawares, most cruise lines will allow you to charge your cabin gambling money. You just stick your key card in there and you say, hey, give me $3,000, and they take it and charge it to you, which is then charged to the credit card or whatever form of payment you have on file. And the husband's like, I don't like that. I don't like the fact that my wife is able to run up $3,000. Is there any way to block her from going to the casino or block her from doing that? I don't think there is. I mean, the way that the process works when it comes to cruising is that you provide a credit card to cover any charges, and then you say whether or not everybody in that cabin can, have those privileges. So I guess the hardcore thing the guy could do is not allow his wife any charging privileges on the cruise ship. But if you've been married for any period of time, you know that that's probably not going to go over very well. I did read in this article that maybe Royal Caribbean has a way where people can self-opt out of the casino, which would be interesting, whether you can say before you get on the cruise, don't let me charge any money in the casino. I don't know if that's true. If anybody in the know knows, let me know. But that would be probably the best. But yeah, also in the article, there was a statement that said, addicted gamblers, people with a gambling problem should probably not go on a cruise because that's the worst place for, people with a gambling problem. It's a great question. What advice would you give this guy? How can this guy protect his money from his addicted to gambling wife? Cruise news story number 5, quick update to cruise news story 3 from the other. I don't know if it was cruise news story number 3. I told you about the couple that couldn't find their luggage on the cruise. They went a whole cruise without their luggage. Even after they got off the cruise, Carnival Cruise Line could not find their luggage. And then when they got home, somebody said, don't you have those AirPods from Apple? You know, the little earphone things? And they're like, yeah, we got that. And they're like, well, I don't know if you knew this, but you can track those devices using your phone. And they're like, oh, okay. So they pull them up on their phone and they see that their luggage is on the cruise ship that they got off of. And they don't know why Carnival hasn't returned it. Well, a greater investigation ensued, and they found the luggage was in a cabin with another cruise passenger that was on a back-to-back cruise. And after some more investigation, it was determined that the person stole it. They stole the luggage. And I left that story the other day unsure what happened to that person. I was saying that certainly if it was proven that the person stole the luggage, that they should be banned. And apparently that's what happened. I've seen from other sources that that person was banned for life from Carnival and that they were held in the cabin during the last part of their cruise. I don't know if that's 100% true, but that's what I've seen reported in a couple sources online. So if that happened, then that's good. And yeah, the couple's still trying to get some sort of reimbursement from Carnival. I think they got offered $350, but the guy's like CPAP machine got stolen. All kinds of stuff got stolen out of the luggage. So they're trying to recoup more money than that. But yeah, if I get any updates, I'll let you know. The next cruise news story, Royal Caribbean has recognized the problem in the Port of Miami, and they're doing something about it. How nice is that? I was recently in the Port of Miami trying to get on a Royal Caribbean ship, and I got stuck in a ton of traffic just even at the port, and that's becoming an increasing problem in the Port of Miami. A couple weeks before I was there, the traffic was so bad that people got out of their Ubers and their taxis and walked a great distance, I think over a bridge to get to their cruise just so that they would make it on time. I saw a report that like there's gonna be over 70,000 people trying to get on and off cruise ships in Miami on some of these days where there's 7 or 8 cruise ships in port, and Royal Caribbean's doing what they can. So in an effort to reduce the traffic on some upcoming sailings of Icon of the Seas, Symphony of the Seas, other Royal Caribbean ships out of Miami, they are offering free transfer, free shuttle to and from the airport for passengers booked on that cruise. So I'm just mentioning it briefly here. If you're cruising on Royal in Miami over the next month or two, check with Royal Caribbean, check on your cruise planner to see if you can get a free transfer from the airport or back. You know, they're trying to entice people to not drive to the cruise port to reduce the traffic. And if you're somebody who's already paid for that service, I believe you're going to be getting a refund. So way to go, Royal. That's pretty solid. All right, I got one more big cruise news story. We got to talk about Carnival going back to the old muster system for some cruise passengers. But before we do that, let's take a dance break. Come on, dance break. Get up. Get up. Let's do it. There we go, dance break. Did you get up and dance? Man, I tell you what, dance break has been interesting. Not since the advent of the jazz hands have I had so much conversation about just a little fun thing that I like to do in the show. Some people have suggested that I take a poll to see whether or not dance break should stay in the show. I'm gonna do that. We'll take a poll, but I wanna do it live. I would love for you guys to come and tell me if you hate the dance break, if you love the dance break, and there'll be an opportunity to, you know, vote yes or no on the dance. You don't have to tell me anything. You could just come vote yes or no on the dance. We're gonna do it live. 3 p.m. today, a town hall meeting, as it were, over this issue of dance break and anything else you wanna talk about. But yeah, come vote on the dance break, 3 p.m. right here on this channel. Yeah, that should be fun. Okay, here's the story. Carnival, they've famously said, we like the new system. If you remember, we had a big shutdown in cruising. And before the shutdown, every cruise that you went on, you had to go to a safety briefing. And what happened is at a designated time on the embarkation day, before the ship set sail, they would sound an alarm. They would make an announcement. All passengers go to your muster station for the safety briefing. Thousands of people would gather on a single deck or in places where the designated muster stations were, and they would listen to people talk about safety and how to put on a life jacket. Now, this system was a little bit annoying because it was one of those things on a cruise ship where 1 or 2 people could really mess it up for everybody else. You would stand there. Sometimes you were forced to stand in the open sun just waiting for people to come so that they could do the muster drill. And, 20, 30 minutes, you're standing there in the sun, you're not allowed, you're not supposed to talk, use your phone. You can't think about inappropriate thought. You can't do anything. You just have to stand there and wait for everybody to show up. It was a pain in the butt. So then we have the shutdown, and out of the shutdown, we get this beautiful e-muster process where, like the everybody come together process, you're still forced to go find your muster station. You're still forced to figure out where to go in case of an emergency, but you don't have to do that with everybody. You just do that on your own, and you get credit for finding the place by getting your card scanned, and then they ask you to watch a safety video. The muster station, the people there, you have a little briefing on how to use your life jacket. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And there's been some hints here and there that, some cruise lines went back to trying the old way with some pushback. And Carnival always gets asked the question, are you going to go back to the old way of doing it? And they've said, no, we're not going to do that. We're never going to do that. That's not what we're going to do. Well, passengers have been getting notified on some upcoming cruises that they will have to do the old muster system. And it just seems like these are unlucky passengers. Now, I told you to beware of the Ides of March, the 15th of March. Well, for some Carnival cruisers on the 16th and the 17th of March on 3 different cruise ships, they're the ones that needed to beware because they're going to have to do the old muster process. 1 ship on the 16th, the Liberty, 2 ships on the 17th, the Valor and the Conquest. They've been notified they're going to have to do the old muster process. And you may be asking, well, why, pray tell, is this? It's for crew training. It's a cool thing that Carnival does. Not only does the crew need to be trained on the new safety process, but they also need to be trained on the old safety process just in case that has to be the way that it's done. And so what happens is they have a rolling, random, you don't know which ship it's going to be. It's just luck of the draw. But all of these cruise ships in Carnival, I would assume, will eventually have 1 sailing or something where they do the old muster. And it just happened to be these 3 sailings coming up this week. So rest easy. If you're a Carnival cruiser, you're not going to have to go back to the old muster process. And it's like jury duty, unless you get unlucky and you happen to be on the one where they're training the crew. Now, I do want to hit you with this important piece of information. If you'd like to stay up to date with everything going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. And also a big thanks to PIA VPN for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you hit that link below. It's Tony for La Lido Loca. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye. Cruise News.